Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being truly well-informed, where we tackle vast and sometimes overwhelming topics and, well, extract the essential nuggets of knowledge. Today, we're plunging into the world of meditation. It's a practice many people think they understand, but as we're about to discover, it's far more diverse, nuanced, and perhaps even more powerful than you might realize.
And that's really our mission for this deep dive, to distill the most important insights from a pretty comprehensive stack of sources, articles, research papers, our own notes, giving you a truly comprehensive understanding. We're going to journey from meditation's ancient roots through its myriad practices and right into the cutting-edge science is beginning to validate its profound effects, helping you see why it works and what it means for you.
Okay, let's unpack this. When we talk about meditation, we're not talking about just one single thing, are we?
No, not at all.
It's more like an ancient family of contemplative technologies. I find that word technology is so fascinating when applied to something so, ancient. What does that really encompass?
It's a great reframe, isn't it? These are sophisticated mental techniques that have evolved over millennia. They have deep roots in spiritual traditions like the Hindu Upanishads, Buddhism, Jainism, Hinduism, and you even find similar contemplative practices focused on devotion, on remembrance in Abrahamic traditions too, Christianity, Judaism, Islam. What's truly remarkable, I think, is how these ancient disciplines have migrated, from their traditional spiritual context right into the secular mainstream, finding widespread application today in clinical therapy, corporate wellness programs, personal health. It's everywhere.
And this is where the complexity immediately steps in, right? Because there's no single universally accepted definition or classification even.
Exactly.
Instead, we have several frameworks, and each one subtly influences how we perceive and maybe even how these practices are marketed.
That's a key point.
The most common scheme, at least in Western psychology, seems to divide meditation into two broad categories: focused attention, or FA, and open monitoring, OM.
Right. Focused attention is all about deliberately directing and, crucially, sustaining your attention on a single anchor. This could be something internal like your breath, maybe a mantra, a visualization, or even something external like a candle flame or a sound. The practice here isn't about achieving perfect, unbroken focus because, let's be honest, your mind will wander.
Oh, absolutely. Mine does constantly.
Mine too. The real work is noticing when it wanders and then gently but firmly guiding it back to your chosen anchor. It's like a mental workout, strengthening your attentional control. Think samatha, some forms of Zen or loving kindness practices, which we'll get into later.
So it's less about not having distractions and more about how you respond to them. That feels like a crucial distinction.
It really is. It changes the whole dynamic.
Okay, so what about open monitoring? How does that feel different?
Open monitoring is, a very different quality of attention. Yeah. Here you cultivate a broad, non-reactive, non-judgmental awareness of everything that arises and passes in your experience. Thoughts, emotions, bodily sensations.
Just letting it all flow by.
Kind of. The goal isn't to control them or make them disappear, but to observe them with a detached curiosity, recognizing their transient nature, without getting all tangled up in them. Vipassanā and Zen's shikantaza are prime examples of this broad, non-interfering awareness.
I can imagine that the boundaries aren't completely separate, though. Do these practices often blend in reality?
They absolutely do. Yeah. Many practices fluidly combine elements of both. You might start with focused attention to calm the mind down a bit, then shift to open monitoring as the mind settles. This overlap, this porousness, has led researchers to seek more nuanced models, like an expanded 4-part typology.
Okay.
This includes concentrative, generative, receptive, and reflective practices. Concentrative largely lines up with FA and receptive with OM. But then we have generative practices, which actively cultivate states like metta or loving kindness and karun, compassion. This fills a gap that the basic FO model kind of overlooks.
Right. It's not just observing, it's creating something positive.
Exactly. And reflective practices use a focused mind for systematic investigation, like contemplating a Zen kun, those paradoxical riddles designed to push the mind beyond its usual limits.
That makes a lot of sense, seeing how they build on each other or offer different angles. And then there's an even newer approach, one that tries to classify meditation by brainwave signatures using EEG. Tell me about that.
Yes, this is a distinct and often debated approach. It proposes 3 fundamental types based on brain activity: Focused attention practices in this framework, they're associated with high-frequency gamma brainwaves, linked to active learning, high-level processing. Open monitoring practices show slower theta brainwaves, which are present during deep relaxation and inward focus. And then there's a third category, uniquely defined, automatic self-transcending, which describes the state produced by transcendental meditation, or TM.
TM, okay.
And this state is associated with alpha brainwaves, characteristic of a mind that's awake but deeply relaxed.
This classification method raises a really fascinating point about how our understanding of something like meditation can be influenced, maybe even shaped. The source material points out that by creating this distinct category for automatic self-transcending, this framework strategically separates TM from both FA and OM, which then allows for arguments, about TM superiority. Proponents cite meta-analyses suggesting TM produces more than double the reduction in trait anxiety and 3 times the increase in self-actualization compared to other types. It makes you wonder about the scientific process itself sometimes.
You've hit on a crucial insight there. And it's not unique to meditation, is it? How we classify something isn't just a neutral organizational tool. It can become part of a persuasive argument, subtly framing evidence to favor a particular technique or viewpoint. While those claims of TM's superiority exist, other broad meta-analyses and systematic reviews find that TM's effects on well-being and blood pressure are largely comparable to those of other meditation techniques and, importantly, lifestyle interventions.
Comparable, okay.
This discrepancy just reminds us to look critically at any classification system and ask, what purpose does it serve? Whose interests might it reflect?
That's a powerful takeaway. Looking at the lens through which we view the data, not just the data itself. And speaking of framing, we also need to briefly touch on the distinction between secular versus spiritual contexts. Because historically, meditation was deeply embedded in spiritual paths, right? Aimed at enlightenment or communion.
Absolutely. Deeply spiritual roots.
But the modern secular application, especially in healthcare and corporate settings, often strips away those spiritual dimensions. It reframes the goals in psychological and physiological terms: stress reduction, improved focus.
Yeah, much more instrumental goals.
Carl Jung even cautioned against adopting these techniques without appreciating their deep cultural and philosophical roots. He suggested we might lose some of their true depth.
It's a valid concern. Context matters. And to help visualize all this complexity, we have Table 1, Comparative Taxonomy of Meditation Styles in our sources. It shows how styles like mindfulness, Vipassanā and Zazen, TM, loving kindness, how they fit into these various frameworks. It really highlights the overlapping and sometimes, frankly, conflicting nature of these taxonomies. It's not neat and tidy.
Definitely not.
So moving beyond these abstract classifications, a true understanding really requires a deeper exploration of the specific traditions and their core principles. As outlined in Table 2, profile of major meditation techniques. Each style has its own unique history, philosophy, methods.
Okay, let's start with mindfulness meditation. This one has definitely taken center stage in the West, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's huge.
Its core principle is non-judgmental, present moment awareness. You learn to observe thoughts, feelings, sensations from a distance, like a witness, without getting caught up or identifying with them. It sounds simple, but that act of cultivating a space between stimulus and response, breaking down those automatic reactions, that feels incredibly profound.
It is. And it's cultivated through both formal practices, like sitting meditation, focusing on the breath or doing a body scan, and informal practices, where you bring mindful awareness to daily activities, brushing your teeth, washing dishes, walking.
So it's not just about sitting on a cushion?
Not at all. It's about how you engage with your life. That act of returning your focus when your mind wanders, and it will wander, that's the core of the practice, really. The modern secular mindfulness movement was largely catalyzed by Jon Kabat-Zinn. He developed the mindfulness-based stress reduction, or MBSR program, back in the 1970s. Its goals are primarily instrumental: stress reduction, anxiety management, improved emotional regulation, very health-oriented.
Right. Then there's Vipassana, often called insight meditation. Its name literally means to see things as they really are. That sounds...
It can be, yeah. This practice aims for a direct experiential understanding of core Buddhist concepts like anicca, dukkha, and anatta.
Okay, those sound like abstract terms for many people. Can you unpack what seeing things as they really are means in this context? What are we seeing?
Good question. It's about seeing the fundamental truths of existence as understood in Buddhism. Anicca means impermanence.
Okay.
The insight that everything, from thoughts to physical sensations, even mountains, is constantly changing, constantly in flux. Nothing stays the same.
Right.
Dukkha is often translated as suffering, but it's maybe more accurately understood as dissatisfaction or the inherent unease that arises from clinging to things that are, by their very nature, impermanent.
Because everything changes.
Exactly. And anatta is the radical idea of non-self. The insight that there is no fixed, unchanging you at the core of your experience, but rather there's this dynamic, ever-changing process. It's not saying you don't exist,
No, okay.
but observing that what we usually think of as a fixed self, or personality, thoughts, memories, is constantly changing, like a river, not a solid rock.
Wow.
It's a deconstructive process because it really dismantles our habitual ways of perceiving reality, of perceiving ourselves.
That's a profound shift in perspective. And this is commonly taught in intensive 10-day silent retreats. Right. That sounds quite challenging.
It is, yes. You often start with anapanasati, which is mindfulness of breath, basically to calm and stabilize the mind. Then you move to a systematic body sweep, observing physical sensations arise and pass away with equanimity, with balance. Modern Vipassanā was revived in 19th century Burma and spread globally largely by S.N. Goenka. His courses are notable for being non-sectarian, universal, and offered on a donation basis.
That's interesting.
And its goals are profound and spiritual, eradicating mental impurities, attaining liberation or enlightenment, sometimes referred to as stream entry, the first stage of awakening.
Okay. Next up, Zen meditation, or Zazen, which literally means seated meditation. This isn't just a technique, right? It's considered the direct expression of enlightenment itself.
In many ways, yes. It aims to realize the inherent perfection of the present moment.
Its philosophical roots include concepts like Buddha nature, the idea that enlightenment is innate within us, and non-duality, which is about seeing beyond artificial separations. And then there's emptiness, or shunyata. What does emptiness mean in Zen? It doesn't sound very uplifting on the surface.
Yeah, it's a common misconception. Emptiness, or shunyata, isn't about nothingness or despair or nihilism. Not at all. It's the profound insight that things lack a fixed, independent, inherent existence.
Okay. How so?
Well, think of a wave. It's real. You can see it, but it doesn't exist independently of the ocean, the wind, the conditions that form it. It's empty of a separate self.
Ah, I see.
This insight frees us from rigid categories and attachments. And in Zen, the idea is direct pointing to the human mind over relying solely on scripture. It really emphasizes direct experience.
And what's fascinating here, as the sources point out, are the divergent paths within Zen. It sounds like two quite different approaches to getting to the same mountaintop, perhaps.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. Both schools emphasize a precise and stable posture. They believe this cultivates a stable and wakeful mind. But the Sutra school, founded by Jugen Zenji, champions shikantaza, which translates roughly to just sitting.
Just sitting.
Yeah. It's an objectless, open monitoring practice. You simply sit with open awareness, allowing thoughts and sensations to pass without involvement, without getting hooked. For Jugen, practice is enlightenment. It emphasizes surrender and finding completion in each moment, just as it is.
But the Rinzai school, that's where maybe the effort comes in more. They use kuns, those paradoxical questions like, what is the sound of one hand clapping? What's the point of focusing intensely on something that seemingly makes no logical sense?
Right. It seems counterintuitive. The practitioner intensely focuses on these kuns precisely to exhaust the intellect, to push the mind beyond its usual conceptual limits. The aim is to precipitate a breakthrough experience of direct insight, known as kenshu or satori.
Like breaking through a wall.
Kind of, yeah. It's like trying to think your way out of a mental maze until your intellectual mind just collapses in a way. Opening up a direct, non-conceptual understanding, Rinzai masters are known for using sharp, sometimes abrupt methods to jolt students into this realization.
So one path is more about effortless surrender, the other about dynamic effort to break through. Fascinating contrast, absolutely. Then we have Transcendental meditation, or TM, a specific trademarked form of mantra meditation that's very widely practiced and researched.
Yes, quite well known.
Its core principle is automatic self-transcending, an effortless settling of the mind to quieter levels, experiencing what they call pure awareness or transcendental consciousness, described as a fourth state of restful alertness.
That's their framework, yes. This is the one where you repeat a personalized silent mantra, typically for 15-20 minutes, twice a day, with eyes closed. Importantly, the mantra isn't something you concentrate hard on. It's meant to be a vehicle for inward attention, allowing the mind to naturally settle down without effort.
Effortless being the key word there.
Very much so. TM was developed by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi in the 1950s based on Vedic traditions. It's presented as secular and scientific, But it's also a highly controlled and commercialized system.
How so?
Well, you can't learn it from a book or online. You need a certified teacher, there are course fees involved, and the mantra itself is kept secret, personalized for you. This really highlights that spectrum we mentioned earlier, from open, often donation-based spiritual paths to more structured, branded wellness products. Each has its own system for engagement.
Right, and its goals are both practical things like stress reduction, focus, energy, and profound, aiming for self-actualization and higher consciousness. Okay, beyond these major styles, we have the generative practices. These actively cultivate positive emotional states, don't they? Metta, or loving kindness, and Karun, compassion, are the prime examples.
Exactly. So instead of simply observing what's arising, here you're actively generating positive feelings.
How does that work in practice?
You silently repeat specific goodwill phrases. You typically start with yourself. May I be happy, may I be peaceful, and then you gradually extend these wishes outward. To loved ones, then to neutral people, then to difficult people, which can be challenging but transformative, and finally to all beings everywhere.
And the distinction between metta and karun?
Metta focuses on unconditional love and wishes for happiness and well-being. Karu is specifically compassion, the wish for suffering, wherever it exists, to be alleviated. It's a response to suffering. The goal is to enhance empathy, reduce prejudice, dissolve anger, and foster a genuine sense of kindness and interconnectedness with others.
And we can't forget movement-based meditations, like yoga, tai chi, and qigong. These really challenge the idea that meditation has to be sitting perfectly still, bolt upright. For someone who struggles with sitting, these could be a real game changer.
They absolutely can be. These practices integrate mind, body, and breath through deliberate physical action, often helping practitioners enter a kind of flow state. Yoga's postures, asanas, and breathwork, pranayama, were traditionally developed precisely to purify the body and stabilize the mind for deeper meditation.
So it's a preparation.
Often, yes. Walking meditation involves bringing mindful attention to the physical sensations of walking, the lift of the foot, the pressure, the shift of weight. It can be very grounding. And Tai Chi and Qigong are often described as meditation in motion. They focus on cultivating Qi or life energy, promoting health, balance, and calm through flowing movements.
So the goals are holistic.
Definitely. Stress reduction, physical health, better balance, body awareness, and achieving a peaceful mind through embodied practice. It's connecting mind and body.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for many people, the science. The surge in scientific inquiry into meditation. There's a robust body of evidence supporting its benefits, isn't there? But also this challenge of isolating the exact active ingredient, because the outcomes often come from the whole program, not just one technique in a vacuum.
That's exactly right. The evidence for the overall efficacy is substantial, as summarized nicely in Table 3, Summary of Scientific Evidence for Meditation Benefits from Our Sources. In terms of psychological and emotional well-being, stress reduction is probably one of the most consistently proven effects. A major 2017 review looked at 45 studies and confirmed that various forms of meditation can decrease physiological markers of stress, like cortisol, and it helps with stress-exacerbated conditions, things like IBS, PTSD, fibromyalgia.
That's significant. And for anxiety and depression, it seems like a powerful tool there, too.
It really is. A meta-analysis covering nearly 1,300 adults found meditation can decrease anxiety, and the effects were even stronger for those starting with high levels of anxiety. Specific mindfulness programs have been shown to reduce symptoms of generalized anxiety disorder, and other reviews show mindfulness improves symptoms of depression and, crucially, reduces rumination on negative thoughts, helping you break free from those repetitive mental loops.
Getting unstuck, basically.
Precisely. It also actively fosters positive emotional health, leading to things like improved self-image and reduced emotional reactivity. You're less likely to fly off the handle. And those generative practices we talked about, loving kindness, compassion. Meta-analyses show small to medium increases in pro-social outcomes like empathy, compassion, and actual helping behaviors. It's fascinating how cultivating these states internally can shift our interactions with the world.
Moving to cognitive enhancement, meditation truly acts like weightlifting for the brain's attentional systems, as one source put it. I like that analogy.
It's a good one. Studies consistently show regular meditators outperform non-meditators on tasks requiring sustained attention focus.
And it doesn't take years.
Apparently not always. One study found that even just 13 minutes a day for 8 weeks significantly enhanced attention and memory. And this extends to potentially combating age-related memory loss. There was a fascinating 2010 study on military personnel during a high-stress pre-deployment period. They found that an 8-week mindfulness training program actually increased working memory capacity under stress, while the non-meditating control group's memory declined.
Wow, so it actually buffered the brain against stress.
That's what it suggests, yeah. Buffering against stress-induced cognitive deficits.
Perhaps the most profound discovery, though, is neuroplasticity. That meditation can literally change the physical structure and function of your brain. Just think about that for a moment. Your daily mental practice is literally reshaping the gray matter, the connections, not just figuratively, but physically. It's like having a mental gym that directly builds new neural pathways. Challenges that old idea that our brains are fixed after a certain age.
It is truly remarkable, and the evidence is growing. Structurally, studies show increased cortical thickness, more gray matter in brain regions linked to attention, internal body awareness, that's interoception, and sensory processing. And functionally, it seems to reduce reactivity in the amygdala. That's the brain's fear center.
So less reactivity to threats.
Potentially, yes, leading to better emotional regulation. It also seemed to decrease activity in the default mode network, or DMN.
The DMN, what's that involved in?
The DMN is most active during mind-wandering, self-referential thought. Rumination, basically, when you're lost in thought, often about yourself, the past, the future. By quieting the DMN, meditation seems to shift the brain away from that self-preoccupation and more towards present moment awareness. These are the neurological underpinnings of improved emotional regulation and stress resilience.
Fascinating. And these mental benefits translate to tangible physiological health outcomes too, right? What are we seeing there?
Yeah, absolutely. For cardiovascular health, especially transcendental meditation, it seems very effective in lowering blood pressure. Multiple meta-analyses show TM associated with significant reductions, leading the American Heart Association to suggest it as a potential complementary therapy for hypertension.
Okay, so that's a specific finding for TM.
It is, although they note other non-transcendental forms are also promising for blood pressure. Preliminary research also suggests mindfulness might enhance immune response, though more research is needed there. And for chronic pain, a big meta-analysis looked at 38 studies. It found mindfulness can decrease the subjective experience of pain, reduce the anxiety associated with it, and improve overall quality of life for sufferers. It changes the relationship to the pain.
Which brings us back to that comparative efficacy debate we touched on earlier. Proponents of TM really highlight its unique benefits, citing studies showing greater effects on anxiety, self-actualization, and those significant blood pressure reductions.
And while those claims and supporting studies exist, other large-scale reviews present a different picture, a case for comparability. A major 2012 meta-analysis, for instance, found TM's effect on general well-being was actually comparable to other meditation techniques when you look across the board.
So not necessarily superior overall.
According to that review, no. Similarly, a 2017 overview found its effect on blood pressure was comparable to other lifestyle interventions, like diet and exercise. This really raises that important methodological question. Is it the specific technique itself or the broader package of delivery that contributes most to the reported outcome?
The package problem.
Exactly. And this isn't just about meditation, it's a profound insight into how we understand any complex intervention. It reminds us that context, expectation, group support, the teacher relationship, these can be as powerful as the core technique itself. The full MBSR program, for instance, includes group support, psychoeducation about stress, gentle yoga, all of which contribute to psychological well-being beyond just the sitting meditation.
Right.
And TM's highly structured teaching protocol, the certification process, the personalized mantra, the community, and the positive expectancy it generates could also be significant contributing factors, making it really difficult to conclude definitively that the mantra technique itself is inherently superior when practiced in isolation from that whole system.
That makes total sense. It's rarely just one thing. So what does this all mean for you, the listener? How do you apply all this knowledge? I think the key takeaway here seems to be that there's no single best meditation for everyone. It's truly about finding what aligns with your goals and your disposition, right?
Absolutely, 100%. The selection process should ideally begin with a clear reflection on your personal goals. What are you hoping to achieve? If your primary aim is stress reduction and just general well-being, mindfulness meditation, particularly an MBSR-based approach, is an excellent, very well-researched starting point. Body scan meditation is also really effective for releasing physical tension. If you specifically want to sharpen your focus and concentration, then focused attention meditation is designed precisely for that. Think focusing on the breath, maybe counting malabeads or even gazing at a candle flame.
Okay, but what if you're an active person, someone who really struggles to sit still? Or maybe someone with a very chatty mind who genuinely dislikes silence. I know many people feel like their brain just won't cooperate with sitting quietly.
Great question, because that's very common. For active individuals, movement meditations are ideal. Yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, even mindful walking. They allow you to cultivate mindfulness while engaging the body. If you dislike silence or have that constantly busy mind, mantra meditation or transcendental meditation can be very effective. The repetition provides a simple, often compelling anchor that many find easier to return to than the subtler sensation of the breath.
Gives the mind something to hold on to.
Exactly. For spiritual growth or connection, exploring spiritual meditation within a tradition that resonates with you, or trying Vipassanā for deep insight offers a profound path. And if your main goal is to cultivate positive emotions, more compassion, more kindness, then loving kindness or meditation. Meditation is the most direct route. The best approach ultimately is probably to experiment a little. Try a few different styles through guided recordings, maybe introductory classes online or locally. See what truly fits for you.
Makes sense. And once you start, how do you navigate the common challenges? Because I'm sure everyone faces them. We've all been there, right? Trying to meditate, and your mind just won't shut up about the grocery list or that awkward thing you said last week.
Oh, completely. These are not signs of failure. They are integral, unavoidable parts of the learning process. The most universal challenge is the busy mind, getting lost in thought. That moment of noticing the grocery list and gently bringing your attention back. That is the bicep curl for your attention muscle. That's the practice.
So the goal isn't to force silence.
Not at all. The goal is simply to recognize when your mind has wandered without criticizing yourself and gently guide your attention back to your chosen anchor. This act of noticing and returning, repeated hundreds, maybe thousands of times, that is the meditation.
Okay. What about things like restlessness, boredom, or physical discomfort? Those can really derail a session, make you want to just get up.
Definitely. First, ensure your posture is comfortable, yet alert. Find a balance. It's perfectly fine to mindfully shift your position if pain becomes genuinely intense or distracting, but don't torture yourself. But the deeper practice involves meeting these sensations. Restlessness, boredom, aches with curiosity rather than resistance. Notice them as passing phenomena. Observe them without judgment if you can. Then there are the classic 5 hindrances from Buddhist psychology, these common mental states that can block our progress.
The 5 hindrances?
Yeah, there's desire, that grasping for pleasant experiences, wanting something else. Aversion, pushing away on pleasant experiences, resisting what is. Sloth and torpor, that heavy mental dullness or sleepiness. Restlessness, the agitated, jumpy mind. And doubt, that questioning voice asking if the practice is even working or if you're doing it right.
I recognize all of those.
We all do. They aren't personal failings. They're just universal energies we all experience.
The skillful way to work with them is to recognize them when they arise. Maybe silently name them. Restlessness. Feel their expression in the body and then gently return your attention to your anchor. If you're constantly sleepy, check if you're genuinely fatigued. Maybe try meditating at a time when you're naturally more alert. Ensure your posture is upright. Or try meditating with eyes partially open.
Good tips. And finally, that classic challenge. Lack of motivation and finding the time. It's so easy to start strong, but then life inevitably gets in the way.
So true. The key here is consistency over duration. Start small. Just 5 or 10 minutes a day is fantastic. It's much better to sit for 5 minutes every single day than for an hour once a week, especially when building the habit.
Build momentum. Exactly. To help build the habit, try piggybacking your meditation onto an existing daily routine, like right after your morning coffee, or just before you brush your teeth at night. Link it to something you already do. And most importantly, try to stay connected to your why, your core motivation for practicing in the first place. Why did you start? Reminding yourself of that will provide the fuel to continue, even on days when it feels difficult or you don't feel like it.
That's great practical advice. And for resources, the modern practitioner has so many options now. Apps, courses, teachers. It can almost feel overwhelming to navigate them all.
It really can. Apps are often a great entry point because they're so accessible. Subscription-based ones like Headspace and Calm are very polished, structured, offer lots of guided content, often with a freemium model so you can try them out. But there are also excellent free and community-driven apps. Insight Timer is amazing. It has the world's largest library of free guided meditations, literally hundreds of thousands of tracks from thousands of teachers covering every style imaginable.
Wow, free.
Mostly free, yeah. There are optional paid courses too, but a vast amount is free. UCLA Mindful Smiling Mind, great for kids and adults. And the Healthy Minds program are also completely free, often developed by nonprofit or academic institutions focused on well-being science.
And if you want something maybe more in-depth than just dipping into an app.
Online courses can be invaluable for structured learning. Pellucid Mindfulness is a fantastic resource. It offers a complete, totally free, 8-week mindfulness-based stress reduction MBSR course online. It includes materials from world-renowned teachers like Jon Kabat-Zinn and Thich Nhat Hanh.
That seems incredible.
It is. And while self-study works really well for many people, some traditions, particularly Zen and TM, really emphasize the importance of a direct relationship with a qualified teacher for personalized guidance, feedback, and to truly understand the nuances of the practice.
Where do you find a teacher?
Insight Timer actually has directories of teachers and upcoming retreats worldwide, so you can search for local or online options if that feels like the right next step for you.
Fantastic. So we've journeyed through this really rich tapestry of meditation, acknowledging its diverse paths from just sitting to cultivating kindness to moving meditation and the remarkable validation it's receiving from contemplative science. It's truly fascinating to see how this ancient wisdom, these inner technologies, have found such robust support in modern research, proving they can genuinely change our minds, our brains, and our lives.
Indeed. And I think while all these frameworks, traditions, and the science provide incredibly valuable maps and tools, the most critical factor in meditation is ultimately your own consistent and sincere engagement. The best type of meditation, really, is the one you actually practice, the one that truly resonates with your goals and your disposition, and the one that leads you step by step towards your desired destination, whether that's simply a calmer mind day to day, a healthier body, or perhaps more profound and compassionate understanding of reality itself.